We here, world. What's up? I'm gonna give y'all a minute to get settled and come through. It's 7 o'clock on Tuesday, so it's another episode of Conversations. I'm gonna like this one. This is gonna be a good one. I'm excited to speak to this brother. Jay, what's up? You ran a half last week, right?
I sure did.
How'd that go?
It went well. It went very well. I didn't get the medal on because it's kind of heavy.
It's a little too heavy.
It's kind of chunky.
You got the medal?
It's kind of chunky,
Pull the medal out. Let me see the medal.
It's kind of chunky.
When we win shit, we show them.
Kind of chunky.
That's right.
That shit is nice. That shit's spinning, nigga. Like, look at this spinning, nigga. Spinning.
You got to spin it.
There you go.
You got to let that baby spin.
How'd you do? Good?
Yeah.
Did you PR?
Nah, it was too hot. It was about.
Yes, that's the problem with that race. That's why I hate that race.
It was 94% humidity at
7 in the morning.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I hate
so there was no like, yo, let me run this, let me kill it.
Right.
Fortunately, it was overcast when we started, and when the sun came up, it still wasn't crazy, but again, it's this humidity.
Yeah.
So you're burning calories. I had hardly run. I had been sick, so I was on vibes.
Yeah.
So I got through like the first 4, and then I was like, all right. I don't know about the rest of this. And I started to feel lightheaded, and so after that point, like around 6, I started feeling lightheaded. So I had times when I was just like, all right, let me slow down, water on my head. Like I probably, it was like the slowest miles I've ever run. Like I was doing like 14-minute miles. Like I wasn't like jogging, like not even walking, just like just about 26 people went to the hospital.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that because people go to Miami half thinking, yo, this is gonna be a winter half. I'm gonna go down to Miami. I'm gonna get drunk all weekend, then I'm gonna run this half.
No.
And then you wake up at 6 o'clock to go to the race, and it's 90% humidity. Right? And even if it's just 65, 70 degrees, the humidity means you're sweating already. Right? So it's a trap race.
Yeah.
People think they're going to go and do their thing because it's in Miami, but it's a trap race. I'm glad that you finished. I'm glad that you got that medal. You spinning. That's what's up. Shout to Kai. Kai's not here. Whenever she's here, whenever she's not here, she makes sure I don't tell y'all where she at, but just trust she not here. She'll be back next week.
What up, Kai?
Loving Kai. Shout to B Stuyvesant Champagne. Today, I'm drinking the Blanc de Blancs, and of course, I'm still on somewhat dry January, so we're doing mimosas again today. Are we gonna do the sneaker war? I feel like I may have lost already. I come in, I gotta get my game up with this cat, man. He be doing all types of, he got his name on the side of the fucking,
I see.
Like, what is you doing, man?
So you want to have one-on-ones, right? So if you remember the 87 Air Max, the purple with the black, with the bubble, I said, let me just recreate that. Best runs the world on the side.
Yeah, whatever,
Little vault.
man.
Whatever,
Max,
man. What you
oh, hey, man, I got on the regular Jordan 1s, man, but I told him my socks is killing them. I got the York Peppermint Patty socks with the Jordan 1. See, he got on his grandmother's socks.
It's not sock wars.
So you are going to judge, at the end of the thing, you'll judge who won this week.
All
right, let's center in. Let's center into place. So the brother to my left, like I told him off camera, I told him I would speak on this, and I'm gonna speak on it. When we started here in Suite 607, with the idea that we had, to use this space as a programming space, in earnest in 2018, late 2018, early 2019 is when we got on our roll. That's when we did the book signings with Nadia Lopez. Shout out to Nadia. With UGuard, shout out to UGuard. April Walker, shout out to April. And when we were doing all of that, it was this brother here to the left of me that was recording and coming and being on time and being present for us and helping us out in terms of shaping what has become Suite 607. And so we owe this brother a lot of love and respect in this room. He's one of us. Like, this is not a guest in my eyes. He's family, because when we started this journey, we started with Lance. Now, Kai did send me his bio, and I'm going to read his bio. So Lance Williams is an experienced video game industry professional, Rockstar Games, Acclaim Entertainment, and Avalanche Studios. He's credited on over 50 games, including high-profile titles such as Grand Theft Auto and the Red Dead Redemption franchise. He's also been involved in various aspects of video game product development, from game tester to senior lead analyst. Also performed voice acting, motion capture work, and in-game modeling. I feel like I could do some in-game modeling.
You definitely could.
He has the distinction of having his image used on the front cover of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. This game was released 20 years ago in October of 2004, and it went on to sell over 20 million copies. But before all that, he's a HU Bison. HBCU things happening here.
You know.
Shout out to our brother Trey Lee.
What up, Trey?
And we're going to do this the right way. I want to introduce to some and present to others my brother Lance Williams.
Peace. Thank you, brother Marlon. I appreciate you. Thank you for that.
And what I said, I meant, man, like, you really are a part of this collective. Like, we have a tribe, and you're part of our tribe. And so I'm very happy to have you here. And we've never talked about this thing, right?
No.
So this is going to be an interesting conversation. But before we start, I just really want to have 5 minutes on some HBCU shit.
Let's go.
You went to Howard at a very, 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 like, what's the word I'm looking for? Classic time.
Mm-hmm.
You were part of a classic crew, Power Move.
Power Move. Shout out to my Power Move brothers.
Right. And so, going into that HBCU world, I didn't get into Morgan until 92. You guys are a little bit older than me. But we used to go down to Howard all the time. And your name was reflected on that campus even after, when did you leave Howard?
It was fall of 90, got there.
So you was there? Okay.
Yeah, I was there to 96, to
okay.
90. Yeah, I was there for a minute.
Okay.
It's funny because there are parts of my story that just seem very random, but they all kind of come back,
right?
In different ways. So like, even that first day I got to Howard, I'm a third generation Bison. My mom and dad.
Get out of here.
Yeah, my mom and dad graduated. They met, married.
On Howard's campus?
On Howard's campus, yeah.
Wow.
They met and married. My great-grandfather went to Howard. My great-grandfather came to this country from Barbados.
Right.
And he went to Howard. My brother went to Howard. It's in the family.
It's in the family.
It's in the family. So the first day I got to Howard, the freshman dorm was Drew Hall. That was 511 Gresham Place. I'll never forget. I was in room 344. I was on the same floor as a football team, right? I got to the room, opened the door, there's already a trunk on the floor. So I'm pissed off. Like, just for the fact that I didn't get a chance to choose what side of the room I was going to be. The choice was already made. Right. So then I looked on the locker. My roommate was from Compton. So this is August of 1990. Right. I'm a cat from Long Island. Shout out to Strong Island. And I wasn't probably as, bad as some other, West Coast, whatever, but it was still like Compton, like all the people I could have roomed with, that's what I had. And it turned out to be the most amazing experience I could have had because I was able to ask him so many questions about life out there. I was like, why they wear the Jerry curls? And he was like, all right, like, they wear the Jerry curls because it's like a status thing. Like the girls know you got money because it costs a lot to keep it up. And I was like, oh wow, that's important because stuff like that was able to help me eventually when I got the Rockstar Games and we were making Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
So that draw.
Yeah, right. I was able to draw on that. So that there are a lot of little examples of that, like stuff that seem random that come back in different ways. That's how I've always approached things or looked at things in my life.
Now, I noticed just from following you on IG or Facebook that you have a lot of raw footage from the 90s.
Yeah.
And I know from having a camcorder in the 90s that the camcorder was it had you put the tape in it. It was like a...
Yeah.
You used to film a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I went to Howard. I wanted to be a filmmaker. Spike Lee and John Singleton. I was like, this is what I want to do. I just love the idea of capturing stuff I wanted to write stories, You mentioned earlier about being at Howard at the time I was at. So when I got there, it was everyone wanted to be in the music. My peers, we wanted to be in the music business. Right. So when I'm still, deciding with film or music or whatnot, my father had got me a camcorder one Christmas. So I just went nuts, like recording everything. Like I can tell you even, we had a house party at my father's crib in the Bronx the day that the whole situation happened in City College.
With the Puffy thing. Right.
So I'm recording and two of my boys, they were there.
Right.
They get to the crib and you know, there's no social media, no internet, we had no idea what was going on.
Right.
I have like their just raw emotions.
Their raw testimony. So they came in and you just grabbed your camcorder.
I was just recording and then I'm in the kitchen. They was like talking about, yo, there was just wild people at the door and then people just started pushing. Next thing you know, we just saw like bodies on the floor. And I'm like, what? Like I'm not even thinking about what I'm recording or anything, but just, good things happen by accident or whatever. So that's how I end up having a lot of footage from that time period. I brought it back to Howard. We had the hip hop conference. I recorded a bit of the hip hop conference. Like I still have that. I'm actually donating that footage to the MARLON Spin Garn at Howard University because I want it to live on and be preserved. I don't want just that footage to live on my hard drive in the cloud and no one knows what to do with it. So I'm making arrangements to have it archived properly at Howard. It belongs at Howard. That's where it was done. Yeah, but everyone of my peers, when we talking about D. Angeletti, Mark Pitts, all these guys, they were older than us. Just so many folks were making strides in the music, and the Don Pooh, all these people making strides in the music industry. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to be in the music industry. So, like me, for example, like I wasn't a rapper. I wasn't making beats and I wasn't a DJ. I should have been a DJ. My father's record collection is stupid, right? I would come home every summer. I would intern. My first internship was at RCA. That was like summer '93. That was the summer SWV came out. They had Week. Week was like #1. It was like a big party in the office when they hit #1. I'm intern. I'm like, so what does that mean? And they were like, oh, when the group becomes #1 on the pop charts, it like opens up more money. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, So I'm doing PR and RCA. When there was a black music department at RCA, I interned under my first mentor in the music industry, Mary Moore. She's no longer with us. R.I.P. Mary, I love you so much. Wu-Tang had just signed with Loud Records. So like RZA used to come in all the time. He would always build.
It was Loud RCA.
Yeah. He would always come by, build with him. Like just such a smart brother. You could see from there how visionary he was, right? So I would, I'm working at the labels. I would come home. I have like the contacts, like all the PR people, all the magazine people, and we back at Howard, we throwing parties. Right? And every summer I'm doing this, going back and forth. So then come '96, I'm out of school. I'm interning for a company that I'm working now for a company that I interned with. It was the Harvey Group of Communications, doing PR. I'm doing PR for Ghostface. I'm doing PR for Eric Sermon. We were doing like some PR for Bad Boy, right? That only lasted, I was there from May to December, and then, dried up, right? But as that so happened, Tracy Lee, his record is bubbling now, the theme, Party Time. So Trey's like, I need a road manager. I want you to be the road manager. I'm like, all right, bet. We were on tour, all 97, right. A lot of crazy stuff with that. We were out there in LA the night Biggie was murdered. That was, again, I'm saying, I've said before, there are just so many stories that intertwine. Like I didn't want to go to LA ever again after that happened. I didn't want to go to LA ever again. And then, again, I'm at Rockstar. We were in LA, but we'll get to all that.
Right. So before we move on from that, I just want to talk a bit about power moves. And the reason why is because all of us had crews at college. HBCUs and crews, that's a major thing.
Hand in hand.
My crew, shout to FAM, shout to COA. Power moves. I want you to explain the type of movement Power Moves was, because I want people to understand the potential of crews in black colleges. Because a lot of what you guys did, we were doing a lot of the same things. Yeah. So I want you to kind of tell us about that crew.
Man, we were some brothers from mainly the East Coast, New York, Bronx, Long Island, Philly, Jersey, Newark. Shout out to the chief, Midi Baraka. But we also had, you know, my man from Oakland, Bert. You know, my man Cunch from Louisiana. We had cats from, we weren't just an East Coast centric thing, but you know, it was mainly that. Right. You know, the whole goal behind Power Move, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, we wanted to throw parties because to us it was like, that's how you gonna get the girls. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, just keeping it real. Right. That was like, you know, we gonna get the girl, we gonna throw these parties, whatever. But it did turn into, it was more organized than that, because we had Tracy who was rapping. We had One Step Beyond, Midi and Mike. They rapping. You know, we want to get deals. You know what I'm saying? We we're throwing parties to put them in the studio. We put them in the studio. We shop deals. Like right out the gate, freshman year, the first hip hop conference, like Midi and Mike had a demo deal with Jive. Like, so Fushnikins got signed the same time, right? Well, so it's like spring break. We're here in New York at Jive Records with Sophia Chang, you know, world-renowned A&R, you know, shout out to Sophia. You know, we in there, like, Fife is coming in there. Like, we just talking to Fife all day about making records, songs we like, how to make songs, this, that, and the third. So we had that taste of being in the music industry from our freshman year, and we were just determined.
Right, so it just created drive.
Right. So we're on campus, we're not only throwing parties, we're having movie screenings. We screened the movie Who's the Man on campus, right? We bring down mixtape DJs. No one had brought mixtape DJs down to DC. We had Doo-Wop, SNS, Craig G. We brought all these people down. We brought the Roots to not to campus, but we had a little spot called the Magic Room on Florida Avenue. We brought the fire marshals almost shut us down so many times. It's not like they were coming in there like, if we can't walk from this entryway to here, we shutting this down. Like, we bet, y'all gotta move up. But it was so tight. We had a line of folks, you know, from the Magic Rooms on Florida Avenue, around the corner, up Georgia Avenue, up to like the Hospital of Howard, like crazy line. There was no way all these people were getting in that spot. You know what I mean? And I got to give my brother a big shot, because he was like, yo, y'all got to get the Roots, you know, because that was like that time, like, I hate to use labels, but like, you know, the backpack, I'll just say, you know, that was really coming in. We were coming out of sort of, at least the students that were at Howard, so much the Timberlands and the fatigues, we were coming out of that into more of the natural sort of thing. So the Roots, like, this, you would have thought, you know, I don't know, like Run DMC, like in their heyday, was coming to Howard. That's how many people came. Right. You know?
So for me, that's the reason why I'm bringing that up, is because I always talk about my experience with just wanting to be a part of the culture. Like, when I was in Morgan, I just wanted to do whatever. Yeah. I was rhyming, I was DJing, I was throwing parties, I was doing anything that I could do just to exist in the space of the culture. Coming to Howard, going to parties, being in Drew. I remember Drew Hall, Meridian in the Towers, just to be a part of this thing. And it's funny because I feel like with technology, the younger generation now, they don't really have, they could be in their room and put something on camera and drop it on IG or drop it on TikTok and become, but for us, you really had to show and prove. Like, you had to have a crew, y'all had to have a mission, you had to do your thing. It was fights, you had issues, it was beef. Everything. Right? It was everything. And it was like,
we had to go get flyers made. Like you had to get there a certain time because we got to get them by now or else we not going to make, you know, and then you had to distribute them and everything. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we come out of that. Like, we come out of this thing where we had to build ambition and drive. We just couldn't exist. Like I remember we did a drop. We did like a rhyme for the 808, the 8 at 8 on V103 in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Right, 102.7.
Oh yeah.
We did the 8 at 8, right? And me and my crew, we did the rhyme, and they was playing it, and it took everything to get people to even listen to that. It became a thing about look, we gotta tell people that we did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at every turn, it was about ambition.
Yes.
And that's what when I think about Power Moves and the work that you and even to this day, like we've had Power Moves parties in here, like
we have,
you know what I'm saying. So to this
Power
day,
Move is still here.
To this day, the mission.
We had the big party homecoming in October.
Yeah, I heard the Howard homecoming party still is lit. So you leave Howard. What's your first job after you graduate? After you out?
I was doing publicity. I did PR. The Harvey Gallagher group.
Right.
It was Ghostface. Eric Sermon. I had a lot of fun doing that, you know, but it just the money wasn't coming in quick enough, you know. So then, '97, road managing Tracy did that for the whole year. You know, we everywhere. We in Atlanta, North Carolina, you know, like I said, Cali. You know, that fateful night, unfortunately. You know, and then, eventually that slowed down. And I've said to Tracy, I should have been the one that really I got caught up in it a lot. You know, I didn't stay focused because there were I told Tracy, like towards the end, I was like, you know how we could really kill it? This is you think about verticals, right? Like, but no one was really taking you like this is what you gotta do. I was like, Tracy, we need to like essentially do a deal with a club somewhere. Right? I'm like Greensboro, North Carolina was like killing the theme. Like we looking at the BDS and we doing well, but like Greensboro, it's like 500 times a week. Like, whoa, just like way bigger. We should have done a deal with a club out there to like endorse like, hey, party time, like with Tracy Lee or whatever. I'm thinking it is too late. Right? So then the metaphor I always use, like the headquarters was down like my crib, my father's crib in the Bronx, right? That phone used to ring nonstop. It rang so much we didn't answer it, right? Marlon, I'm gonna tell you, there came a day where we wished that phone rang. The label wasn't calling us.
Shit dried up.
The promoters weren't calling us. You know, the chicks weren't calling. Nobody was calling. So, you know, Tracy's an artist. Like I'm just gonna, I'm recording a new album and whatnot. But that not helping me. That's not helping me at all. Because I'm getting money when we out on the road. Yeah, like I had to get a job. I started working at a game store, like Babbage's or something like that. I'm up in Yonkers, like I'm back in retail now. But it was like, I like video games or whatever, so I didn't feel really any kind of way. And it was like, when the album's recorded, I'll be able to leave this or whatever. But one thing turned to another. I ended up back in DC for a little bit also. I transferred what I was doing at the game store. I'm starting now work for the same game company, but now like in Virginia or whatever now. But then I came back home and the album's still not recorded or, it's still in the process or whatever. But my man, DJ Parlay, he hit me. He was like, and this is going to sound dated. He was like, yo, there was an ad in the newspaper, like Newsday. Do you want to get paid to play video games? What? Heck yeah. You know what I mean? Man, every kid in Long Island must have seen this ad because it was like 100 kids out there, right? When we got there, I tell my son this, if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. You know what I mean? If they said come at 11, we got there at 11, and it was already too many kids out there. So then they come out, like the HR people or whatever, they go, all right, we're only going to take the first 44 people, and we were like 73 and 74, something like that, right? Man, we got to leave, Parlay looking at me. I'm like, we ain't going nowhere.
Right.
So now this is where this Howard, the hustling kind of mentality come in.
Right. This is when I'm not paying to get in this spot. I'm about to rush the door.
Right.
Right.
You know that.
Oh, I know that.
That's very real.
Right.
People still tell stories about. I remember when y'all rushed the door. Just let's not discuss that.
It's very real.
I look at Parlay and I'm like, let's let them send everyone home. We just gonna hang around. And when they see it's just the two of us, we'll just talk them into interviewing us. So by now, we go down the street, we get like a lunch, we come back in the building. But how we even got back in the building, I have no idea. We in the conference room, our feet are up on the executive table.
Right.
We blowing up the long distance phone calls and everything. We just like whatever, right? This lady from HR, she comes down, she's looking at us like, what are y'all doing? And I'm like, hey, listen, y'all sent everyone home. Good, you cleared everyone out so you could, you're here to talk to us now. We want the jobs. She looked at me and she was like, you know what? No one's ever done that before. I'm still going to send y'all home, but I'm going to give you a call on Monday. And true to her word, she did. She called me. And I ended up interviewing, and I got the job. Next thing I know, I'm a game tester at Acclaim Entertainment. This is like 98.
Wow.
I guess. Yeah. So now I'm a game tester. I'm working on NFL quarterback club. I get in it was like this big room, like just a whole bunch of other folks, just TVs everywhere, VCRs, recording what you're doing. So, you playing. And, you finding glitches. Like, I think the first thing I found, I, scored a touchdown quarterback club. My dude, clotheslined the guy and teleported to the other end. So I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Glitch. Yeah, right? So it's like, he's like, the guy, this is my man, Mark. He's like, just write up what you see. And then I learned the process of identifying bugs and, logging them in a database and whatnot. I gotta digress just quickly. When I was a kid, I tell people all the time, birthday wishes come true because I made a wish one year I wanted to play video games for a living, and little did I know, years later that would happen. Yeah.
So this reminds me how back in the day in Madden there was a play that would be a touchdown play every time. So this is the type of stuff you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you chose this play and you threw it to the slot receiver, he's scoring every time.
Yeah, yup.
Right.
Yeah, stuff like that. Or even, I'll take you back to Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, that was
Remember Bo Jackson?
Yes.
Bo Jackson was unstoppable. It didn't matter.
You could run around, you could go all the way to the end.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Back, he's knocking everybody over.
It didn't matter. Yeah,
right.
Stuff like that. Looking for the glitches. If we were lucky, we were, you could even provide feedback, yo, how can we make the game better? And again, all this stuff will be important.
Now, in terms of 98, is this a good job? This is a good paying job?
That's a good question. I feel like it was just whatever. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it was so different. No one knew, especially here on the East Coast, because all the game companies were on the West Coast. I think that was a more regular thing out there.
Right.
And there were no mobile phones, no social media, so there weren't games just game companies popping up. This was the only thing in New York. Mm-hmm. I kind of remember it being okay, but this was the twist. When I first came in, I had to work the weekends. Mm-hmm. My work week was from Thursday through Monday. So Saturday and Sunday was mandatory.
So you were working Saturday and Sunday, 8-hour days?
Yeah.
Would there be overtime?
There could be yes, there would be overtime, and sometimes I would take advantage of that, especially during the week.
Right.
But then the good thing was Tuesday and Wednesday, during a regular work week, I'm chilling.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So it allowed me to travel.
Right.
I'm doing things during the week. Sometimes weekends, even though it's a weekend, some places are closed or whatever.
And you still got 1 foot in the game.
Yeah.
You still kind of got 1 foot in the game.
I still got
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah. But even with that, there was part of me that I guess I wasn't all the way accepting could this be a long-term thing? And I left Acclaim for a bit and started working for PageNet. Like, you remember PageNet? They made the beepers and the two-ways. Like, I did that for a little bit. I tried it. I guess I was doing well because I was kind of rising up. But I hit up my supervisor, the old supervisor at Acclaim. I said, can I come back? And he was like, yeah, come on.
So you went back.
So I went back.
Right.
The lesson I guess from that was I did a good job, and the job was there for me to come back to.
Right.
Which would be important because he left Acclaim and would eventually go to Rockstar. And but we'll get there. Yeah.
Pause for a second.
Okay.
Pause for a second. I gotta switch phones because
Wow.
the live, it stopped living.
Okay.
It's not live.
No, it's not live.
Oh no.
Hold up.
Oh no, not with this good shit. We saw
Time where the games had to be flawless. So like you said, to that point, that somehow got out there.
Right, and you can't change it.
You couldn't change it back then. It wasn't online. You couldn't update it. Mm-hmm. So I'm always like, I love the era of game testing, the backbone that I came from there, because it was like, really what is called quality assurance, right? I feel like I have a high bar for quality because I'm always thinking about, well, I came from this era where you couldn't change it. Like, you had to nail it just that first time, or else, you put a dud out, So that kind of thing always kind of drove me also as I moved forward, in my life, my career.
How long were you at Acclaim?
I was at Acclaim for about 2.5, 3 years.
Okay. So you leave Acclaim. So now we're like in 01, 02.
Again.
Now you get into the...
So Tracy's second album is made now, right?
Right.
So I went to the folks at Acclaim, like, listen, I don't want to leave, but I got something I need to do. So they let me go on sabbatical or whatever. We were gonna go on the road for 2.5, 3 weeks, supporting Tracy's second album, Live from the 215, right? We get to Philadelphia, ironically. I was born in Philadelphia, I get a phone call from someone. I mentioned him earlier, my man Mark. Mark was at Rockstar Games now, right? He calls, he's like, yo, what's happening? I'm like, yo, what's up, Mark? How you doing? He's like, yo, I'm good, man. Remember when you asked if there was an opportunity here, if you could come through? And I said, yeah. He said, well, there's an opportunity here. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing something for 2.5 weeks, but when I come back, he said, yo, no problem, right? So we wrapped up the tour, and I get back to New York, and I go and interview with Rockstar.
Rockstar was here at the time?
Rockstar was in Soho at Prince and Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah, right above the Prada store.
Right.
Wow. I don't even remember how many times I'd ever been in that part of Manhattan. Tower Records was
on Broadway.
It was a few blocks up. Forbidden Planet was in Union Square. But that far down, the other side of Houston, I can't recall. But here I am, I'm going to the Prada store, the elevator up to the 3rd floor. And it was this loft, this big open air kind of space. A couple people playing games, but just very different from what it was at Acclaim. And I said it was an interview, but it was kind of more like a conversation. I didn't really, they were just what do you like? What's your vibe? And I'm talking, they're like, all right, and then the guy, Jeff, that I said had come from Acclaim, he's now running the QA department at Rockstar. I guess he was like, I'll give you a ring or something, and maybe a day later. So he's like, yeah, you can start in a week. I'm like, all right, bet. So I went to...
Now, what was their game before? Because all I know Rockstar for is GTA. So what was their games before that?
So when I was working at that... software store, that game store, that was the first time I'd ever seen a GTA game. GTA was a top-down PC game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So some guy brought it in, and he was like, yo, it's this game. It's banned everywhere. Yeah, oh, wow. And the guy brought a disc in, and it's top-down. They're just shooting and driving. I'm like, wow, it looked crazy.
Right.
But at the time, Rockstar, so now, in terms of gaming, we're about to go from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, right? And really, even on PlayStation 1, we'd gone from 2D to 3D. You know, like it was a big deal when on Nintendo 64, Mario was now a 3D game instead of this flat side-scrolling situation. So Rockstar was about to launch. That we were only.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't
no.
But damn, that's an epiphany. You right. I remember when games went from side-scrolling to actual.
This was
3D.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Because Tecmo Bowl was 2D, but Madden was 3D.
Right. And now it's like you could actually see the shapes, and whatnot.
Right.
So Rockstar is about to launch 2 games for the PlayStation 2. Like PlayStation 2 was coming out in the fall, and it was only Rockstar and EA. EA was going to have like multiple launch titles now. We're about to launch. We had 2 games, Smuggler's Run and Midnight Club. So these games, and then the overall philosophy of Rockstar at the time was we were making games for people who grew up playing games. Right? Like we believed that video games were not just something children wanted to play, that there were a lot of adults who played games as kids. Now they have money, they have jobs, that they still want to game. So Midnight Club was not just a racing game, it was a racing game about illegal street racing. You know, so they had a little edge to it, right? Smuggler's Run was about, it didn't explicitly say like, it was contraband. We're smuggling contraband across these big wide open maps and whatnot. Like these were like topics that no one was making games.
They're not kids' games.
We weren't mascots. We're not doing that stuff. You know, so that's what we were doing. There were a couple games before I had gotten there, but those 2 games now would set the table for what we were going to come out with in 2001, which is GTA 3. You know,
and I remember GTA 3 because for me as a consumer, somebody that was playing games, we always was like, how is this 3? Like, where's the other 2? Like,
there were other 2, but
they were on PC.
They were on PC, top down. GTA 3 was now 3D, and like this term that now was born, big open world game. You know,
open world and again, you're educating me, but I kind of understand some of this stuff. It was like how in GTA 3 you could like go into like caverns. Like it wasn't just like the programmable lane. You could kind of go off road.
You could,
and things existed in off road.
Yeah, You could. There wasn't a set path. To what you were doing. Like you're getting in a car. You could drive to your destination, or you could drive anywhere else. You know, if it was there, you could do that. That's that's you know that set up. Those 2 games set up now. We're coming out with GTA 3.
Now you're still game testing. You're still QA.
Yeah, so I'm still QA, but I would say this is what I can say about Rockstar compared to other game studios that I was aware of or had worked at, right? And I don't internalize this necessarily, but I know how it was, how other people treated it. Like when you were a game tester, you were like the low-level person, right? All these other companies, you know, it was kind of like that, right? Rockstar, it was not like that. Like it was everyone that was in behind those doors was family. Everyone was treated the same. It wasn't like the testers or whatever. Sam Hauser, who was the head of Rockstar, like he was an incredible leader, incredible visionary. Like you believed in his vision. And we all just wanted to execute it, right? Like we wanted to, you know, come out with these games, you know, that were so different from everything. You know, we weren't trying to make games with mascots. Nothing against any of those games, but it's like, yo, this is early 2000s. Like, you know, these people that made games have grown up. We trying to make something that reflects that, right? all that is important because 2001 was 9/11, right? GTA 3 was coming out a few weeks after 9/11, and that shut a lot of things down. Shut everything down. I don't know if this has ever been talked about before. I mean, I'm gonna say it now or whatever. There were when you make a game, you have to submit it to the game consoles. You have to submit it to Sony. Xbox didn't even exist yet.
Right. So you have to submit it to actually the parent company.
Yeah, because they gotta make sure everything's on off and up, right? So there were concerns about GTA 3 because you could actually get we had one airplane in a dodo plane or whatever, very difficult to fly, right? But you could fly it, You could crash it into a building.
You could.
Listen, that thing did not go in there to mimic 9/11 or nothing like that. Nothing like that. But they were like, you got to take it out. We were like, no, we're not taking it out. We stuck to our guns and, all that blew over or whatever. But GTA 3 went on to become big, what it became.
Right.
And I mentioned earlier, being out in LA when Biggie was murdered, that I never wanted to go back. We went to LA as Rockstar. That was the first and last time we showed a Grand Theft Auto. Well, there was a game convention called E3, Electronic Entertainment Expo. Yeah. We showed GTA 3 on the floor, public. Anyone could come up to the booth and play it. I remember people were coming up. They were like, man. It was just so, how are you going to put this out? It's too violent. And see, someone like me, and this is at the time, my personality was so, it fit what we were doing there. I'm looking at folks just watch, we going to put it out. Let y'all think it can't come out or whatever. We're going to put it out. No, of course, you don't know it's going to sell what it's going to sell, but we're confident.
Right.
We wanted to put it out. Steven Spielberg's kids came to the booth and were playing the game. I don't remember what they thought of it or whatever, but but that was the last time a GTA was ever shown publicly at E3.
Really?
Yeah. It just wasn't.
So San Andreas didn't do that.
No, it was private behind closed doors.
Private
behind closed doors. Every other one was private behind closed doors. We didn't do the public thing anymore. It was just, again, people how are you going to put this out? We showed it to Microsoft. They were like, no.
That's crazy.
Listen.
That's crazy.
I can't. I'm sure there are a lot of factors why the PlayStation 2 was the monster that it was in terms of how much it sold as a game console.
Right.
I will always believe, and this is just my opinion, that the big reason was because GTA 3 was on PlayStation 2.
So for me, GTA 3 was the first game. So we're age appropriate. So we grew up Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Street Fighter. Right. These are games I played all the time as a kid. And specifically, let's talk Mario Brothers. The only thing you could do is the goal. So if you're on World 1-1, the goal is to finish World 1-1, and that's the only thing that you're doing. Right. Now there were Easter eggs in Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So you could get 100 lives, 3-1.
Yeah, find all the stars.
You could go to Warp Zone.
Right.
But ultimately, the goal was the goal.
The goal was the goal.
GTA 3 was the first game that I played where you could do the missions, or you could just wild out. Yep. But see, the thing about wilding out was that was also a game because you would get those stars, right? And you pop a couple people, the stars go up, then the cops come get you. But if you evade cops, you start getting at the cops, then the black trucks would get, the helicopters would come.
Yep.
So it was you could actually create your own kind of thing.
Yeah.
Me and my man, shout to Big Kev, we used to play GTA 3 in the crib. And we would look for a place where we could wild out at. We would look for a cavern or something where we could set up where our back is protected, and then we would.
Yeah.
So we wasn't even doing the mission.
Yeah.
So when you say that these people were looking at this game and they were like, nah, I can't see that, because if you're a gamer, GTA 3 was one of the first games that I played where it was like, yo, I could really.
It was a dream.
Right, I could do my own
dream.
thing.
Yeah.
Like I could exist in this world.
But it's not gamers that are making the decisions. That's the challenge.
Say that again?
It's not gamers who are making the decisions at Microsoft.
No doubt. No, I know that. But what I'm saying is the people at Microsoft that are making the decisions need to talk to the gamers.
That was a good decision.
So GTA 3 drops and it's like, how much it sells? 20 million? 30 million?
Probably.
It goes up.
Each one sold more and more and more. You know, it was a monster. Remember, like there was a Nightline special on GTA 3, and I was kind of like, it's like you looking at something you worked on, like, man, this is cool, but the way they were framing it, like that Tech Capo, they had like little kids playing the game. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is rated M. Like, you know, the mothers.
But that was also new for gaming.
It was right. All new.
Having
it was
an
new
actual game that was rated for mature.
Yeah,
that was new.
Yeah, that was new. This was all like very new or mature in the sense that, because I guess Mortal Kombat was, but just there was that level of freedom like you're talking about. Like, Mortal Kombat's a fighting game. Like, it's going to do that. But, like, you could get in the car. You're not just going to run people over.
Right.
Or I'm going to, do drive-bys.
I'm just going to walk down the street and punch people in the face.
Yeah, I'm going to punch people in the face or whatever. But you could also, like, you could take a taxi and deliver, like drive people different places. You get an ambulance and pick people up, take them to the hospital. That stuff wasn't focused on.
You could be a cop.
It was just a gun.
You could be a cop.
You could be a cop. You could trigger the vigilante missions.
Right.
You know?
So, how does this thing change for you when this thing blows up? Like, are y'all throwing parties? Y'all got like. Y'all catering.
Not gonna lie, the money was getting good.
The money was up.
The money was up.
Right.
The money was up.
Because y'all were winning that.
Because we were winning. The money was up. I lived in Brooklyn at the time.
Right. Where?
I was on Cumberland.
Oh, you was down here?
Yeah, I was down there. So I would hang out on DeKalb all the time, like Soul, Brooklyn Mile, like all I was, so like people knew what I was doing. It was like just a cool thing to kind of talk about, because again, no one knew anyone that was doing anything with games.
Right.
But now, like, it's not just you asked me about the game tester. Like now, we're able to. They wanted to hear what we thought. Mm-hmm. Like they always like, do you like it? Mm-hmm. And like people. I mentioned to you off camera, and I'm gonna say this now, like just part of the reason I'm doing this is because throughout the years, any number of journalists have reached out to me. They want to know, what was it like working there? Because there are a lot of rumors, hearsay, some is true, some is not. I don't get into the nuance of all of that, like, because it was my life, right? But why am I going to give a journalist my words so they can write a 5,000 word art and they get paid? I'm getting nothing?
Right.
No, that's not. I'm going to tell a story, and I'm ready to tell a story. I'm going to tell the story with my family, my tribe here at Hip Hop Clap. First time I've ever talked at length about my time there, my journey. You know what I mean? Right. So they always wanted to know, what do you think of the game?
When you say they, who you mean?
The higher ups, like there's Sam Hauser.
They wanted to know how this thing.
It was just success. Like that. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. It's like they just always wanted to know. So it went from wasn't just a game tester. Like now we're helping to build and shape the product. Right. We're providing feedback.
You're providing guidance.
And it was like we came out with 3. But we turned around in a year, and now we made Vice City. Right. Like, and for a long time, I'll get into it. For a long time, Vice City was my favorite one out of all of them, only because of the crew of people that worked on it and how quickly we turned it around from 3 to Vice City. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe it, because GTA 3, it was like, you had The Godfather in the form of a video game. Now Vice City was Miami Vice. Right. Our whole era, of course, we all watch Miami Vice. Like now I'm actually playing it. Right.
Vice City it opened it up because, and if I'm remembering this correctly, Vice City was the one that had like the 3 cities. Like it had like 3 or 4.
No, that's San Andreas. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But Vice City now was set in the 80s.
Right.
The pastel colors. We had 2 Michael Jackson songs in Vice City. And that was a really big deal.
Yo, the radio station.
Yeah. That's
Ooh,
we got
I remember that.
Yo, listen, we Hip Hop 50 last year. I loved every bit of it, but I was like, man, how y'all gonna talk about Hip Hop 50 and not bring up GTA, San Andreas, or anything?
Right.
But as it turned out, this year, 20 years is San Andreas been out. Yeah.
So y'all turned around. So GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas came out in like a 3-year span?
So San Andreas, we took a year off after Vice City. And came back with San Andreas.
So like in 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years, those 3 games. Monsters.
Wow.
Monsters.
Wow.
So by San Andreas now, like, we gonna go ahead.
Before you get
yeah.
I want you to stay in Vice City, but I want to also talk about, because again, you still Trey Lee's man.
Yeah.
His family.
Yeah.
So you still kind of connected to hip hop.
Oh yeah.
Now, how was, outside of your work as quality assurance for Rockstar, where were you at in terms of the hip hop game? Like, I know there was a time when Trey wound up going to law school and all that. Tell me about this time for you, this 01, 02, 03.
It's funny. So even being at Acclaim now, I kept my ear to the other game companies like EA, NBA Live. I emailed the guy at EA like, hey, I manage some guys. I want to submit some tracks. I got like a couple of my friends like beats in NBA Live '98. I don't even remember what the money was.
Wow.
Like, my man John Doe, shout out to John Doe. He got like tracks, the menu music
on NBA
Live.
Wow.
I like hit up another person, EA. We did like a Madden tournament at Homecoming one year. They sent me a banner. It wasn't even a lot of money if there was any money. I had to take pictures or whatever. But But
you're still building. You're bringing this shit to the culture.
Yeah. Like gaming was now my thing. You know what I mean? I went to D-Dot. I'm in Crazy Cat.
Right.
I had this conversation with D-Dot about doing tracks and D, man, I love D. I want to make sure I say that. Me and D we would clash a bit back in the day, because D was, and I should have been listening. D was focused on the money, right? How much they paying. And I'm like, D, like, this is a first time opportunity. Let's get our foot in the door. We can do all of that. Nah. The money, like I said, I get it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, I'm kind of bringing these game opportunities, like, but I'm not really anywhere yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm looking at this stuff.
Right.
So it was like, in a weird way, before we talk about a pivot, I did a pivot from music to gaming. I was just comfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
but that's so very hip hop of you, right? To find a way where you can bring the culture into, because let's be clear, now 20 years later, the culture and gaming is like this. There is no need to bring it in because they're one.
Being at Rockstar, I might as well have been working at a record label.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the energy was there. Listen, man, those games were great, but by the time the songs got in the games, they just took on a whole nother level. Like, you riding around, like you in San Andreas, you riding around, you got Dr. Dre playing in the music station. Right. You got George Clinton, he's a radio announcer on another radio station, Julio G. Right. West Coast legend. You know what I'm saying?
What's Sway's man? That Tech and
Sway. Yeah. Just that these things, it would take on a whole new life. So it was like, I'm kind of working at a record label. We video game, like, it was just cooler. I felt like, and then, shoot, man, by the time what Apple did to the music industry in the 2000s with the iTunes store, like, people were trying to get out of the music industry, Napster, all of that. Like,
LimeWire,
Like, I was like, yo, you in gaming, like, you good. Like, why you want to come back here,
So Vice City, I remember it because they had a lot of that 80s music that that Miami Vice style music.
Yep. Yeah.
Vice
Electro
City.
hip hop.
Right,
Yeah.
electro, right.
On the fish. Yeah.
Did Vice City sell like 3?
It sold more. They all built on
Eclipse.
Like GTA 5 is like 250 million and counting, I think, or something like that. Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to get into that because
yeah.
I saw the trailer. You saw the trailer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. For 6?
Yo,
yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Bananas.
So let's talk San Andreas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So San Andreas is kind of like another benchmark between what existed in gaming and the future of gaming.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. You don't mind if I do this, right?
You at home.
That's right.
So talk to me about how that rocked.
Listen. I wish I could remember the actual day, but I remember the surrounding. We're doing essentially 90s West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Right, because that's what
I'm like, what?
Was. Right. It was NWA, it was like khakis.
I remember being like so excited about that. But just to double back to Vice City, we got in hot water with Vice City. We had some stuff in there. We didn't there were always factions in the GTA game, the Italians, this, that. So Vice City had the Haitians and the Cubans.
Right.
Excuse me. We made the mistake of there was a mission, kill the Haitians, kill the Cubans. Mm-hmm. So by the time that got on the news, it was like, this game, killing the Haitians, and it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was
more like killing factions.
Yeah, we could have done better. Right. But it wasn't like just kill Haitians, it wasn't like that at all. Kill Cubans. That's how we identified them.
Who was in charge of the storylines? Because I think it very unique that a gaming system or a gaming company would look to create what was really paramount to street life.
Yeah.
On game.
Yeah.
So who was in charge of that?
Everything came from Sam. It was the brothers, Sam and Dan Houser. It came from Sam. Dan did most of the writing. San Andreas, DJ Pooh came in and wrote also.
Okay.
Like, listen, I love these guys, right? They're from England. They ain't live in Compton.
That's wild.
In the 90s.
They're not even from America.
No. The guys who did the programming, the AI and all, they're in Scotland. Shit. They don't know nothing like that, not beyond what they see, so DJ Pooh had to come in.
Right.
Someone had to come in. Right. And then the rest of us providing feedback. Like I said, I'm now able to lean back on my roommate from Howard, from Compton, freshman year. Right. I'm like, yo, the Jerry curls are expensive. Mm-hmm. So when you again, we get into the things that San Andreas did, but when you got the Jerry curl cut, that was more expensive than, just getting the regular cut.
It was a preferred cut.
Yeah. I remember it was we're doing the 90s West Coast, and I was just like, whoa. Right. Okay. You know what I mean? And so many things are running through my head. What is that gonna look like? Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, a game? Right. But I'm all in. Yeah, let's do it. Right. It was, and it took 2 years to make that. Because that was the first of the GTAs that, or GTA 3 and Vice City came out in successive years. We took a year off. And then we were putting out San Andreas in 2004. Right. It was exciting. It was exciting. The soundtrack. I really wanted, I've suggested some Compton's Most Wanted that got in there. You know what I mean? But then the East Coast station, we had Ultramagnetic MCs, Critical Beatdown. We had Public Enemy. Chuck D was a radio host. For the East Coast station, the music was just great. It's funny, I've been replaying it on the PlayStation 2 because it's wild now. You can play San Andreas. You can download it on Netflix and play it now.
Word.
Yeah, like HD and everything, but I prefer the way I remember.
Right.
I still have a working PlayStation 2, the controllers. I still got my memory cards with my saves. Like, I'm just replaying it in the most organic way possible. It was, I mean, I loved every minute of being there. It was hard work.
Did San Andreas ever get backlash for being like so black and so like black on black crimey?
You know, so it's a couple things, right, with that. You know, again, we talked about like there wasn't social media the way there is now, but there were the chat rooms, right? There were message boards.
Right.
So we definitely picked up. I don't want to play as some black dude. Like, I'm like, well, who the fuck you gonna play as if you in South Central? You know what I'm saying? Like, who do you think you gonna play as?
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was that. I can't like exactly quantify what it was because what I do know is that the game sold like nearly, 27 or whatever million copies. Like, so that doesn't even matter. The black on black crime and what? Yeah, this is what I say, and I say this now. I've had time to think about it. I have 2 kids of my own. I'm a family man, We always have to be careful when we blame the movie, the video game, the TV show, in the sense that is it just a scapegoat for the societal levers that actually get pulled, turned on and off that really cause these things to happen? Like, is there one person or one kid, maybe they looked at something in the game and did something? Maybe. I played that game for hours. I'm not a criminal. Everyone I worked with played that game for hours. For hours. Like for years, over the course of 2 years. Didn't do anything crazy, right? Were the gun laws loosened in your neighborhood? Did a Walmart come in and put all your mom and pop stuff out of business and price everything out? And, people are hungry, starving, and they do, just those are the kind of conversations that I feel like didn't happen, then.
It's easy to blame the game.
It's easy to blame the game. And what I would always say is, and I knew what was going on, like, are you sure kids are doing, because kids are spending hours and hours playing the game. They're not outside doing that stuff. It could be a deterrent in some way. It allowed you to live out things that maybe you couldn't do in real life. And by now it's the third one. But of course, I'm always sensitive to how we're portrayed.
But the media is so quick to shift it. Like,
oh yeah,
if one kid shoots somebody and quotes the game, then the game becomes the pariah.
Game becomes the pariah.
You know what I'm saying?
The game becomes the pariah.
But what I will say is that, like you said, a deterrent, because look at where we at now. Like, our kids don't even go outside.
They don't go outside. No.
Right? So these are the type of games, this was the paradigm that led to where we are right now, where these kids don't go outside. A little bit. My nephew is 17 years old. He don't go outside. He plays ball for Lachlan. He comes home after practice and he plays GTA.
Yeah.
He plays Madden. You know what I'm saying? Now he got an Xbox. He's playing on the big screen.
So the real danger that we got into with San Andreas was a situation called hot coffee.
What's that?
So there was a point in the game. So what made San Andreas different from the other GTA games was we actually had role-playing game elements to it, like stats, not like traditional role-playing game like Final Fantasy, strength, intelligence, wisdom. We didn't have that. It was like sex appeal, muscles.
I remember you can have the main character work out.
Dude, CJ would get jacked up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I remember that.
You could get to a point where you could date women in the game, right? And then, hey, do you want to come in for coffee? Now you're in the bedroom and you can manipulate the controller, sexual stuff and whatnot.
Right.
I actually even remember I believe I was one of the first people internally that I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this?
Right.
You know, and I'm like, damn, you know. That would have been a no-no under the rating, right? So it wasn't accessible the way it shipped. But some, you know, these games had such a fan base, so rabid, like people would run the games and like hook something up to read like the code. Someone found
this was the time of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone found something in the code and they distributed it online. Now we were in trouble.
Wow.
We were in trouble.
I got fucking insane Andreas.
Yeah, we were in trouble.
Right.
I'm talking about congressional hearings in trouble.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, we can, the conversation about sex in this country is whatever anyway, right? What really bothered me about all of that was there were games, when you talk about like some of the influence San Andreas had, there were games that came out after that. God of War, I'm looking at you, that had similar thing, no big deal. And I was just like, but they tried to nail up. The game was taken off the shelf.
How much you think of that happened because of the black aesthetic?
I think that was a big part of it. Of course, it was a big part. I truly believe that was a big part of it. You know,
so it took the games off the shelf
for a little bit. Re-rated it. Now we're rated AO, adults only, which that's like being rated X. Like no store was selling the game AO.
That's AO.
Right? Yeah. So I couldn't even tell you how many sales we may have lost because of that, but then we had to redo it.
Right.
You know.
But I also think that at this point, it's sort of like a culture. GTA became like cult-like in that if you played the game, you want to play that next game, and it doesn't matter what people is rating it. It doesn't matter what the congressional hearings. I want the game.
It's just it's part of the fabric now of, you know, the culture, the country, whatever. It's just here. It exists.
Right.
It exists.
Right.
It just does.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We did that sort of thing. Like I remember when Sony had approved it. I remember we were on the other side of the house there next to Best Buy on Broadway. I opened up the window and I started shouting outside to anyone that was outside, like, we fucking did it. San Andreas. I know these people looking at me like, what a lunatic. What lunatic? You know what I mean? Like, I'm shouting, screaming at the top of my lungs, y'all ain't ready. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is coming. You know what I mean? Like, but I was just hyped because, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's not even I'm on the box, but like I'm on the box.
Right.
You know?
I want to talk to you about that. How the fuck you get on the box?
Yeah, crazy. Yo. When you work at Rockstar back then, right? Like we did everyone that worked there, you may have been called upon to do a little bit of everything.
Right.
You're gonna do some voice acting. We got some lines for you to do. Like matter of fact, like GTA 3, when you beat the last mission in GTA 3, the last story mission, you hear my voice on the radio.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, like it triggers like a radio response, and I'm like a man on the street. Like I just described this explosion, but I'm one of the last voices you hear in GTA 3.
Wow.
Right? So we would do voice acting. We would do motion capture. Look, if I'm still there, I get you in there. Because I call my friends up, yo, we're doing motion capture, come down. My friends would come down, sign a little waiver or whatever. Right. They put you up on something, you wear something. Next thing you know, you're a pedestrian running around the game. My mom is in like GTA 4. You know, had her come down, bring some different stuff, you know?
Right.
So like, I was called upstairs, like, we want to take some pictures of you, right? So I put on a dickie, I'm sitting on a bike, and they gave me like a gun, a fake gun or whatever. Like, they just taking pictures, right? I didn't think nothing of it. They didn't say anything about what it was for. Like I said, we all just did whatever.
It was like a family business.
It was a family business, right? So now it was like a couple months later, we're in LA. We're at an E3, right? You know, again, behind closed doors, GTA. San Andreas, but the head of the company, he would always throw a big party. We stayed in the Chateau Marmont, like we did it big.
Right, I did it big.
Yeah, like Chateau Marmont apparently is where Jim Belushi like OD or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We did it big. We were on Sunset looking out.
People died in the show.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right,
like
it's one of those
we would go there each year. Like every year we come back. My man, shout out to my man first, Alki. My guy, he came over from McLean Rockstar also. We had like a barbecue grill. We would put it up when we came back the following year. They'd be like, "Yo, we have your barbecue grill in storage."
We got the grill.
You know, they at the party. Sam came up to me and he was like, "We're putting you on the cover of San Andreas," and I'm like, "No, you're not." You know, I was like, "You're not." Right. Like I'm like, "You're pulling my leg."
Right.
Sam don't joke around like that. I should have known he was serious. I was like, "Word," like, all right, whatever. We get back to New York, and then a couple days later, they showed me the cover, and damn sure that was me on that bike, with that dickie on, holding that gun or whatever. You know, like crazy. Like, all right, this is real. Right. But even for me, the bigger deal in a way for me was my name was in the opening credits of San Andreas. That had never happened before. So that's why I said, like, Rockstar, like, game tester, whatever. They didn't do all that. Right. And by now, I'm like a lead analyst. Right. So it's a little different. But even still, to have your name in the front credits of that game, that meant, like, so much to me. Right. You know? Right. That was, yeah. So that's how that started. And then I remember maybe even now the following year going back to LA, there's a Virgin Megastore. And it didn't bother me, but I'm in a Virgin Megastore and there was like a GTA contest and it was my image. It was a cutout in Virgin, like me on the bike. It was a contest to win a dirt bike. Right. I was like, fuck, I didn't get a dirt bike, you know? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
y'all using my likeness.
Yeah. But you know, it was like I said, it was just, you know, this is what we did. We all made it work.
What was it about San Andreas that moved us into what has become the future of gaming?
Oh man. You know, I said earlier that Vice City was my favorite one. Right. Only because, well, not only because, but largely because the amazing men and women that worked on that game, and to be able to turn that over from 3 to Vice in a year. But listen,
that's the feat.
San Andreas is one of the most untouchable video games that's ever been made, because the amount of stuff that we put in that game. Like, I'm not always confident everyone's found everything you can do in that game. Right? Sure. Even today. Right. I'm not always confident.
Right. I'm sure.
You know,
people still haven't found everything.
We had a lot of stuff in it, like the RPG elements, the soundtrack, the customization. You could make your character could be fat, he could be jacked up, he could be skinny, he could, you know, dress, he's wearing his colors. You know, he's now you get that's the game that had 3 maps. Now you're in the Vegas part. Right. You got this nice suits and everything.
And you can drive to the city, and it was a long drive.
It was a long drive. We had so much stuff in there, but you zoning out. You listening to the radio. Like those are the moments for me. Like by the time San Andreas, I became a more sophisticated so-called GTA player. Sure, I could, you know, just run people over while all that stuff we talked about, that was still fun.
That's still there, right.
But now I'm like, I'm appreciating driving, watching the sunset, you know, the West Coast. You know, you got all these songs, the 90s soundtrack, like, nothing touches that.
You guys made it so that the reckless abandon that you had in GTA 3, you didn't even want to do it.
Not necessarily, right?
You wanted to experience it in the way it was packaged to you.
Yeah. You could, now you're buying property. Right. Like, what, you know, and when we introduced that in Vice City, but it was like we put everything from the previous games on top of, and then we had new stuff. I mean, it was just, I used to, like early in the game, when you first boot up the game, and the amazing cast that we had, the voice actors, Samuel L. Jackson, Clifton Powell, Faison Love, Yo-Yo, MC8, all these people, all these people, right? you it's a story, crooked police, they set you up, you come back to San Andreas, your mom is killed, you there to bury your mom and all that. Like, you can't get to the rest of the map. You just really, like Grove Street, where your set is, right? But I used to push the limit. I knew where the airport was. I knew where the plane was. I would fly the plane into Las Venturas. Immediately, you get 5 stars.
Right.
I would turn that damn game into Cops.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm gonna make it back to Grove Street. Like that was an extreme sport to me.
Right.
Making it back to Grove Street from Las Venturas way before you were supposed to. You could.
Right.
Like, you got the skill, go for it.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it was there was so much in there, and it all worked. Like, there are very few games, and no, there aren't any games that could really touch it. I still think even today, other game companies don't get all the lessons about how that was made. Like GTA 3, for example, it's a blockbuster. The low-hanging fruit was, we're just gonna make, like I mentioned the Nightline thing. They talk about you could get a hooker in your car, and the car's rocking, and then when she gets out, you can kill her and get your money back. That's low-hanging fruit. Right. So the following year, there was actually a game where like a dog pooped, and you could do tricks, like your bike over it. Like, what are you guys doing? What is it? Like The Simpsons, they were like a car jacking game with The Simpsons, but everything's copycat, right? Like, I was just like, oh boy, what is going on?
You guys were changing the entire game.
Yeah, so that San Andreas, like, I don't even think people even tried now at this point. Like, they didn't care. But I knew what we were doing to make these games.
Was this around the time when people started, and you got to educate me on this because I don't know shit about this, but people started like having the game on servers and kind of like changing this? Like, I know I've heard of people like they'll play a game, but they'll have it on a server, so they'll mod the characters. They'll have certain things that are not germane to the actual blueprint of the game.
4 was the first one that was online, GTA 4. So San Andreas still really wasn't. And like I said, we got in that hot water with the hidden stuff, or whatever.
So it wasn't until 4.
Yeah, where and then even then, like, we weren't like a PC game really. We were still on game consoles, so you were very limited with being able to do that sort of stuff.
How long were you at Rockstar?
I was there 10 years.
Shit, you was there 10 years.
I was there 10 years. I was there. Red Dead Redemption was the last game I worked on before I left, and that's it's a whole other thing when I left. Cause,
why'd you leave?
Yeah, someone asked me that the other day. Part of my answer, in some ways, I say I don't know. Being honest.
Fair. That's fair.
Not another answer. I became a father. It was like working at Rockstar was a grind. I was always in the office. So I'm always in the office. I'm not home. I'm not helping to raise my son the way I could have. Right? The way kids, don't try this at home. The way I left Rockstar wasn't my best moment, I'll admit, but it's the way I had to leave because it was a family. You can't go against the family.
Right.
I left in the middle of the night, Memorial Day weekend, 2010. I just, I had another opportunity, there were some former ex-Rockstar people that started up a new situation. So it was a cheat code. I felt like I had a safety net. That was the only reason that I left when I did, because I felt like I had another situation. I wanted to try that. But I knew once I left, I was never going to be able to come back. They tried. The phone was ringing that weekend. I either didn't pick up or I was like, nah, I'm done, man. Right. There were things that I wanted that I didn't feel like I could get. And part of that is immaturity, because I should have asked. I should have had those conversations. But I felt like I did, but I didn't like the answers I was really getting. Right. Because we all have to grow. We want to grow. I didn't want to just be comfortable, and that's maybe a flaw or maybe a strength that I have, but I wanted to do some different things, you know, that I probably just wasn't going to get an opportunity to, at least at that moment. So I left, you know, and it was hard. The other situation I went to didn't work out. And then there were some people, why don't you go back to Rockstar? I'm looking at them like, I can't go back. That ship's set. Yeah, you know, so I just had to make it happen the best way, you know, that hustling, that HBCU, that Howard mentality. Like, I'm gonna make it work, you know, somehow, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I've tried to, you know. I've worked at other game companies. Shout out to Avalanche Studios. They gave me a home for a long time. They were right down the street from Rockstar. You know, they made this franchise called Just Cause. Made for it's like really over the top action, open world game. Enjoyed my time there, but I then eventually knew I needed to do something different. You know, so then I even I went to Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, Advanced Media, they this whole thing that we're in with streaming right now, Major League Baseball had the A+ technology for streaming at the time.
Now, throughout all this, like you said, you're a father, you're a husband. How was that life? Like, how was your regular life outside of this adventurous gaming and, you know, building out these video games when you were not at work? At the time, what type of husband were you? What type of father were you? Like, did you ever feel like the work compromised the provision, the providence of being a father?
It's weird because I was paid very well.
Right.
So, I mean, part of the reason, you know, we're able to have a house or home is because of what you do for a living. What I did for a living, right? You know, and not that I just did it on my own. You know, my wife was a big part. You know, she stood by me, you know, through video games, Tracy Lee, like all this stuff. You know, my girlfriend at the time, but my son was born.
When was he born?
2008.
Okay.
And again, this is just true stories, right? Like, everything I say is true. Like, I called my supervisor at Rockstar, like, you know, my son was born via C-section, right? Okay. So it wasn't natural birth, so that was surgery. Yeah. Like, he had asked when I'm coming back in the office, which I thought was a strange thing to ask me. Right. Like, I just told you my wife, you know, had surgery to bring my son into the world. Right. Like, I don't know. Right. But I probably came back a week later. Right. You know, like, I shouldn't have done
anybody who's gone through having a wife that has had a C-section, because my ex-wife had our 2 kids through C-section, you got to understand, it takes them weeks to recover.
Weeks.
It's not, oh, you're going to come home.
Right.
No, it's, I can't walk for 2 weeks.
Right.
Like, you need to be there to take them to the bathroom.
Right, exactly.
Shit. So that's why that's important.
On the other side of that, coming back in the office, I saw people gathering one day. They go in the kitchen, and I walk in the kitchen, the whole office is in there. They're like, surprise, like, to me. And they handed me a big wad of cash. They did a collection. So I can't say that one part of the story without saying the other part, right? Yeah. I loved it there. It was definitely hard. Like, I think, like, I don't want to necessarily take shots at the generation today, because I'm learning to appreciate this generation knows how to say no. They want to take care of their well-being and mental health. Right. There are people that will probably, if I told you everything about working back there, like, your mental health is probably at risk. You know, ate poor. You know, like, we were always ordering food. You know, there was soda on the red. Yeah, ate horribly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, kept crazy hours. You know, I'm leaving like 2 a.m. You know, driving to Long Island, coming back home like 10. You know, like, what kind of turnaround? I'm probably getting home, playing video games. I'm smoking weed.
Horrible lifestyle.
Horrible lifestyle. But not anything that anyone made me do. I was doing these things to myself. Right. But it was just time. I don't regret my time there at all. I mean, 20 years later, I look back very fondly at, like I said, I've never shared this story, any of these stories with anybody, but, I'm going to share it on family platforms and not some games.
And what I'll say is you're not alone in that, because I think all of us have gone through that. Like for me, being a GM at nightclubs and restaurants, and it was like, I'm up at 2 a.m, I'm counting $40,000, but I'm eating lamb chops and mac and cheese. I'm going home at 6 a.m, I'm sleeping till 10, I'm getting back up and going back to the club. Like, people don't understand the stress that you put yourself through in order to manage and take care of these edifices, these institutions.
Right. Yeah.
So people like, oh, well, Lance, he worked in the video game industry, but they don't understand.
It was
they
work and
that
some.
part.
Yeah,
right.
It looked good. Like I used to go, like I said, I'm on DeKalb, I would go to Seoul, whatnot. Like this very San Andreas, some of the cats, yo, where can I get that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's kind of, I probably got one person something. You know what I mean? But there was a whole thing. Like some people just see, there was a San Andreas billboard on DeKalb and something crazy. You know what I mean? But there's anything that's, prosperous, big, there's hard work. There's no shortcut. That's the word. It's sacrifice.
Also, as men, we all go through this. We all go through the process of building families, and then learning how to balance what our family needs versus what we need to do in order to extend our careers and our lives. Right? And kids always become a crossroad.
Yep.
Because it's like, look, I'm a father now. I gotta be there. And what does that mean for my career if I'm not there?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I get it. But I think that, and even at that age, like you're talking 2010, that's like, again, we're age appropriate, so you're in your mid-30s.
Yep. Yeah, right.
And you're looking at your future, and you're like, well, what does this all mean?
What does this all mean?
You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because my son and he's my namesake. He's the second. I call him the sequel.
Right.
I love Star Wars, and he's the sequel. The second son, he's a trilogy, right?
Right.
I had a conversation with my 15-year-old over the holiday break that it started with the GTA 6 trailer, right? Because I had told her, look, listen, I want to be clear. I don't work for Rockstar. I have no internal information, but what I know how the company operates, I said to him, don't look for GTA 6 until you're probably a senior in high school.
Right.
And when they dropped that trailer, said 2025,
right.
he's going to be 11th, 12th grade, right? So we looked at the trailer again, because at first he was like, I don't know. I know how these kids are.
Right.
Like, he's not too excited. Then he's excited, right? That ended up taking us on a trip. I started showing him all of the game trailers from all the games I worked on when I was at Rockstar. I didn't know how much I needed to do that. How therapeutic it was for me and what he would get out of it. Because the one thing I will say about not being there now, and I hate to use the word regrets, but I wish that I could take him there now. Because for all intents and purposes, he is a product of that time period, of that lifestyle. He deserves to be in those doors and see as much of a gamer as he is. He was born, GTA 4. He's a product of that, all that hard work. So I told him, I said, I wish, you could see this now. But, I showed him all these trailers. And
what do you think about the trailer for GTA 6?
I love it. I think it's incredible. I
haven't played video games in years, bro. Like, I haven't played video games in years. I played GTA 5 on my nephew's console. Right, so my nephew lives downstairs from me, so I'll go downstairs and once in a while I'll play him in Madden.
Yeah.
Like once in a while.
Madden's a staple. Like Madden ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll bust your ass.
Pick up the sticks. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'll play GTA 5. But I'm gonna tell you something funny. My 8-year-old loves GTA 5. She loves playing that game.
Yeah,
she loves playing that game. She don't even use a gun, right? She just likes to drive around.
That's the thing,
right? She don't even get into what it is.
Yeah.
She just really loves the game.
Yeah.
But
it's a life simulator.
I've played it, but I'm not as versed on GTA 5 as I was in 3 and as I was in Vice City.
The other ones,
But when I saw 6, for the first time in a long time, I was like, shit, I
gotta check that out.
I need a system.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta play this.
That
game.
looks like some. I mean, like I said, I'm looking at it, and I feel like I see some things where they're going.
Right.
You know, okay, so they're back in Vice City.
Yes.
Which Vice City is an analog of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, look, Florida, you know, the whole Florida man thing,
right.
like, that is the perfect setting.
Right.
You know, because part of its core is it is a satire of the real world, right? It's going to be the real world on steroids, right? So you have these crazy looking characters doing these crazy things, twerking on the car.
Right.
You know, come on, you know?
right.
Like, it's just all there.
But I think, once again, they're poised to jump the shark. They're poised to kind of bring us into... Because you ain't never seen nothing like that.
No.
And it almost looks so real. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where are we going?
Where
do you think we're going in terms of video games? Like, where's the ceiling? Like, at what point do we say, okay, we can't go beyond this?
So, what I think we need, and this isn't a shot at Rockstar at all, you know, and I don't like to use the word diversity because of how it's been weaponized now. But I think the lesson that I would have hoped people got from the GTA games is that anything is possible. We need more voices. We need more stories. There are tons of stories to be told that have yet to be told. I would tell you should write a book. Think of your life as a video game. Think of your life as a video game. Everyone's life can be a video game. Like, I really look at a lot of things like that could just be a video game. You know, I think that the HBCU experience that you and I grew up in is right for a video game.
Absolutely.
Personally. Right. I do.
Right.
I messed around with some AI tools a few weeks ago, and I made a PS5 cover of the Howard University game. People damn lost their minds. You know, and I'm not trying to take credit for something like that per se, more so than I'm like, I could turn that into a game. I could. You know, I don't code, I don't write a line of code or whatever, but I have a vision. I think there are still plenty of stories that have not been told that would be very fitting for video games. There are plenty of stories that have been, in the same way that I think that we were talking about Marvel off camera, right? I think we're at a point where the next thing Hollywood will probably go for are these classic hip hop albums and turning them into something. Right. Because writing's so good on some of these albums and topics and whatnot. And I think it's the same thing with video games. Like, you know, there are plenty of things still to be played. Because I like the interactive part. I like to be able to pick up the controller and do... I love reading, but I love to act it out on screen based on my actions. What can I do? What can I not do? You know?
Were you at the De La Soul shit?
I was, yeah.
I
mean, again, our era, you know, and I'm a Long Island kid. I heard De La Soul on the radio, like Hofstra. You know, I still got those tapes. Yeah. Dave, rest in peace. Yeah,
that was an amazing night. I said that night was like if heaven had a waiting room for hip hop, that was the room.
That was the room.
Like, we still here. We on a waiting room, but we still here, right?
Yeah.
What do you do now? Tell me what you do now.
I work for Paramount now. Century-old company, Hollywood. I'm in streaming. I'm still in technology. I work on the Paramount Plus app.
The Paramount Plus app. I use that for football.
Mm-hmm.
It's CBS.
Yeah. Record. AFC Championship game. Like 56 million people watched. Apparently, most that ever watched the AFC Championship.
Now, I was talking to people about the NFL and streaming apps, and they sold one of the playoff games to Peacock.
They did. Really.
Peacock on that day made about $150 million in subscriptions just off that one game. Tell me about this streaming world, because I don't know shit about it. Like I told you on camera, I don't even know how much I pay a month in streaming. Like I got Netflix, I got Hulu, I got Paramount, I got Peacock. They just take the money out of my account now.
It seems like it's become cable all over again.
Because I don't have cable.
Yeah, we don't have cable. We rely on the cable companies to provide our internet. And the apps were supposed to, the streaming apps were supposed to
provides my internet.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, being at Howard in the School of Communications, they told us about that back in the 90s, like, your telecom, that's what they call it, the telecom companies, Bell, AT&T, they're going to be the internet providers. It was like, the internet, like, what? But that's, Verizon, Optimum, they provide all the wireless, the high speed, the cables and all that. I think streaming, I think somewhere the plot has been lost. I think that it's a little too difficult for consumers sometimes. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I even have Sling, and I pay $60 a month.
Wow. Yeah. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. It looks like we're probably heading towards consolidation.
Which sounds like cable.
It sounds like cable. I mean, remember when everyone was going to take out Netflix?
Right.
Like a couple years, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We're going to take out Netflix.
Yeah.
Now everyone put their stuff back on Netflix.
Right.
Everyone's got their stuff back on Netflix.
Right.
Netflix, they just had their earnings. They blew it out. They had an increase in their subs.
Right.
They're getting rid of the cheap tier. Now they have the ad tier. We got the ads and streaming again. Now we're right back to cable. It's crazy how the world works.
What do you do there? What's your title?
I'm a senior software quality analyst. So I have an emphasis on. You've heard of Roku? Yeah, I have an emphasis on the Roku devices and our app on the Roku.
Still checking glitches. You made a fucking career out there.
I've made a career out of finding glitches.
Yep. I like that, brother. I like that. And in terms, in terms of hip hop, I know Trey Lee just dropping out.
Yeah, different.
Right.
Yep.
Dope shit. Y'all filmed the video right here.
Filmed the video right here. Yep.
What are you guys doing in terms of that work? I know I had spoke to Trey about, the possibility of him writing a book, right?
He should.
He has to.
He should write a book. Yeah. Tracy right now, like his latest album, Different, it's only available on his website. He's big on bringing people to his website. He's not
the ownership is everything.
Yeah, he's not down with the streaming at the moment. He's not. It's not available on streaming. He's trying to identify who his core audience is and find a way to really engage them. So his album, TracyLeeMusic.com, that's where you can get his new album, Different.
Tracy was one of the first people that I knew that was throwing day parties. I don't want to say, Tracy, I don't want to say you invented the day party. But you were one of the first.
Listen. I think it was somewhere in North Carolina or Atlanta. He may have seen it.
Right. I think it was NC. I think North Carolina.
Yeah, that sound right?
But I remember you, Tracy, throwing the house parties in Maryland in the early aughts, mid-aughts.
Yeah.
Man, this has been amazing.
I love it.
You told us so much.
Thank you. Tried to leave it all out there.
Amazing. Where do you live now? You still in Long Island?
Yeah, I'm still in Long Island. Strong Island, 516 to the fullest,
Then you work, where's the Paramount office? You work from home?
In the home office. Sometimes that traffic be hard going from the bedroom to the office.
Yeah, from the bedroom to the office, right? Jay, what we looking like over there? I know we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, we back. Everybody's back on here. Mike White asked him to talk about rap stars.
Rap stars.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I talked about when I was Mike. Yes. When I left Rockstar, I went for this company 4mm. The big game we were working on was Def Jam Rap Star.
I remember that.
You remember that? Okay,
that
so that game was either too late or too early. Because it was the whole Guitar Hero. Remember how big those games were? You know, you playing again. You know,
or the game with the
right. Those games are huge in the arcade. Right.
Arcade, very huge.
We were doing the rap version of that.
Right.
Like the rap karaoke. It just and we had now the social elements. You could record yourself, upload your video. Listen. This was all new learning for me. Like and this is where you learn. You give a person out there a camera, someone inevitably is going to record their penis. I think they said that first weekend. You know what I mean? Like why are you doing that?
Nah.
Just because you could. Like I'm not gonna do that. You know, like
because you could.
Yeah, just because you could. That's how people operate. I feel sorry for people who work at YouTube and whatnot who have to filter that stuff out
because it's ridiculous.
I can't imagine.
X, Twitter.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much of that nonsense they see.
Right.
And the stuff that does get through Twitter, X, or whatever. I'm like, what?
Right. This is what I want to ask you. We're gonna go to one question, but I want you to kind of conceptualize this and kind of give it to people.
Yeah.
What do you think that Rockstar did right in terms of programming and producing that other companies may have missed on?
I 100% know the answer. Well, at least my answer, my opinion. Other companies weren't willing to go in these neighborhoods and talk to people and actually get a ground view of the culture. Right? I can specifically talk to Grand Theft Auto 4.
Right.
After San Andreas, we had the team from Scotland, like some of the artists, come in. So, like I said, like I'm an analyst, senior analyst now. Like, Lance, we're gonna assign you to Bronx. Can you take them up to the Bronx like for a week just to do research? Like, word. They rented me a Suburban. I had 3 dudes from Scotland with me every day, and we just went up to the Bronx. They taking pictures. My man
to the hood.
My man Pi, shout out to Pi, St. Mary's Projects. I had my man Pi with us. They were like, "Do you need a cop?" Like, we don't need a cop. I got my man Pi with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Pi's like ready to take these guys to like a cockfight.
Right.
Like, no. We don't need to. Like, we in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We going to Golden Lady, you know.
Right.
All
Y'all
straight.
Y'all 10 toes down.
We 10 toes down. Like, so these guys made me look at things differently. Like, I'm looking like, what are y'all taking a picture of? That's nothing. They're like, nah, this is great. Like, like the bricks torn up and stuff. Like the murals didn't even have to be made, but they just because it was real. Because it was real, and I saw where that ended translating into the game. Like it did nothing. The imperfectness of the world made it perfect.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Like that's what I know we were willing to do. Listen, GTA 4. Funny story. The night it launched, a couple of us, myself and a couple of us, were up on DJ Premier's satellite radio show, right? Styles P is there, guest. And they're like, GTA 4 Premier's ally, worked with us and whatnot. So while it was like David Banner, Styles P, or the guests, it was like me, my man Adam Tedman, shout out to Adam. We just in there. I'm playing the game. I'm just doing whatever. Like I'm not playing missions. I'm doing. Yo, I went in the strip club in GTA 4. I know Styles P was like mid sentence, and he turned and looked at me. He's like, "Yo, hold up, what?" I'm like, "Yo, we put it all in here, And back to that whole situation, like we went to the various places. Like GTA 4 was. We're back in Liberty City, which was an amalgamation of, in 4, it was New York. It was the 5 boroughs, right? You know what I'm saying? So I took the team up to the Bronx.
And they incorporated all that shit into the game.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
What we got in terms of questions?
Lance, D's View wants to know, do you have plans on highlighting the 20th anniversary of San Andreas?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is the kickoff to that. I'm certainly willing and open to discuss the impact of San Andreas, what it meant to me, what it meant to the world, the culture at large. You know, it's something I would hope I want to take to the different HBCUs because, again, we talked about it. Like HBCUs, like we are everywhere, you know. And this is something like gaming. I don't see enough of where the HBCU influence on gaming is. You know, like I look around, I see they have esports, you know, at a lot of the HBCUs, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I would also say don't just. Excuse me. I'm not saying that you can't be a gamer, you know, professional gamer, but learn all of the things you can do in gaming. Like I had a path, game tester, analyst, you know, motion capture work. I want to be able to tell my story to give folks ideas. Like you know, we talked about, it was like working at a record label. Like you don't have to just be the rap artist. Right. They need someone for marketing. They need someone for PR. They need someone that they need audio folks. There are all these jobs in gaming that I don't want us to just have one narrow view. Like, oh, you're not a coder? Like, no, because there are plenty of things you can do.
And even the other thing is even outside of HBCUs, the fact of the matter is cybersecurity and gaming, you don't necessarily need a degree to code that stuff. So if you're a kid and you live in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, in the Bronx, and you just have a thing for gaming, there's a pathway that you can build an entire lifestyle out of this industry by simply educating yourself on the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
One of the things that in the early days, well, the manuals, you open up the manuals and look at the jobs. Mm-hmm. But now you have to like beat a lot of these games and then the credits roll for like 30 minutes. Right. You know what I mean? But people study what the jobs are because it's not just coding. And I'm not discouraging anyone from going into coding.
But it's not just coding.
It's not just coding. Like there are, like if you're a person that goes to your school of business at your HBCU, there are business affairs. Mm-hmm. You know, like a game like GTA that is going to have 200 songs, someone has to license those songs. Right. You know, you don't have to just be a coder. There are a multitude of jobs in gaming that you can do. So I hope that this can kick off me going to a bunch of HBCUs and sharing this story.
Because you can own that, right? Because this is your story.
This is my story.
So while there may be things that happen for the 20th year of San Andreas that go right through Rockstar, but because you worked on that game, because you exist as a character on the face of that game, you have a certain level of ownership where you can walk the walk.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so hopefully, it's funny because me and Cobb been talking about this for years, this idea of going to HBCUs and having these conversations with kids about leadership, about teamwork. Yes. But hopefully you can use this as an impetus to speak to young students at HBCUs about your work and how the bridge is there for them.
Absolutely.
You know? Because I'll be honest with you, we grew up around the same time. I didn't fucking know you could be a game tester. Yeah. Not until, like I said, shout out to Bezo. Not until my man Brooks told me he was going to Orlando to test Madden. But by then I was damn near 30 years old.
Yeah, you doing what you doing.
I'm already in my shit.
You know? Yeah.
I didn't know that this was viable as a child. I didn't know this was a viable career.
And like I said, growing up on the East Coast, it wasn't really because we didn't have the plethora of game. The game industry, like Japan, then the West Coast, because they could communicate with Japan. But I lucked up being in Long Island because Acclaim was in Long Island. I had no idea till I was like an adult.
Do you look at your life and say that like, wow, I'm lucky? I'm lucky.
Very lucky. Lucky, blessed. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Any more questions up here?
Yeah. Last question. Would you create your own game?
Absolutely. Absolutely. like I said, I think there are plenty of stories out there yet to be told that will make very compelling games. I would love to make a game about going to an HBCU. There are things that I want. There are things that I think about, particularly with education, and how you teach kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a way to, for lack of a better word, gamify a curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say,
Mm-hmm.
where it can be interactive.
Right.
And you can play it out, like history or maybe even English or, whatever, literature, let me say.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, the sky is the limit. I don't think there should be any limitations on what a game could be. And I would love, if someone wants to take a chance, I would love to lead the charge on that. I certainly feel like I have the vision because of my pedigree that I could do that.
Awesome. And I mean, you coming from HU, one thing about your generation and the people that came before you is that those people have all become leaders in music and entertainment.
Yeah.
Right? So the opportunity is there.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Take a chance. I'm right here. Be right here.
I just want to be in the game.
Yeah, I got you, brother. I
just want to be in the game.
I got you.
All right, look. This was a great interview. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but my brother was really spitting some good knowledge. This was awesome. We will see you next Tuesday. Kyle will be back from wherever she is.
Undisclosed location, Kyle.
Right. She's in the cut, but I'm sure she's watching. And we'll see you next Tuesday. We love y'all.
Peace.
All right?